Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the March 16th, 2023 meeting to order. Thank you for being here on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. We have started, this is the first meeting that we started at 6 p.m. As opposed to our 7 o'clock time because of when we set the dates for this year, we also thought it would be best to set the time up a little early. So this is our first meeting with that. We hope that everyone got that memo. We did pass it with an ordinance, so it did have 2 readings. I believe that's right. So we're here nonetheless at 6 o'clock. We have reached out to several folks who are going to do the devotion, but everybody's on spring break, so I'm going to go ahead and at this time call us in prayer and have our devotion ourselves. So let's bow our heads. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you, Father, for this evening. We thank you, Father, for the opportunity to be together. We ask that you'll watch over us and protect us in this city. We thank you, Father, for the many blessings. We pray that we do your will tonight. We ask, Father, that you'll bless us in all of our decisions. We ask, Father, that you forgive us for our sins. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Ms. Kelly, can you call the roll, please?
Staples, absent. Leaf is absent. Borders,
Here.
Brown,
Here.
Calvert,
Here.
Jones.
Here.
And I'll add that Mayor Leaf, because he's absent, I'll be sitting in and presiding over the meeting. Please also let the record reflect that I'll be exercising my voting privileges for tonight's meeting. All right, the next order of business will be to adopt an agenda. Our agenda here is, we got our packets, I believe, Tuesday. Everybody's had an idea to see what was on the agenda and where it starts. I entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the agenda. Second.
And a motion by Councilman Calvert and a second by Councilman Jones to adopt the agenda. Any discussion?
Vice Mayor, we had talked about maybe switching the discussion of the contract to the first, so Mr. Dickinson wouldn't be here so late.
Absolutely.
I didn't know if you wanted to make that change on the agenda or not in order.
Absolutely, yes, sir. I'd like to make that note that we will have Mr. Logan Dickerson talk about the sewer plant change order at the beginning of old business, as soon as we get into that.
Good.
Any other discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, motion carries unanimously. I don't believe we had anyone sign up for public comments. There's not a lot of folks in the crowd tonight, so we'll go ahead and move on forward. Next item on the agenda is the minutes for the February 16th, 2023 meeting. Do we hear a motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from February 16th, 2023 meeting. I'll second.
Motion by Councilman Jones, second by Councilman Calvert to accept the minutes from the February 16th, 2023 meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed, say no. Okay. That's unanimous. The next item on our agenda is the February 2023 financial statements. I believe there's some notes that we'll go over here once we get a motion to discuss.
Make a motion to approve the February 2023 financial statement.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. If we turn to page 2, we can go over a few notes that Keisha, you may want to discuss. You want to go ahead and talk to those?
Okay, just wanted to let y'all know that we had our workers' compensation audit, and we had to pay in some additional premiums, and that was due to everyone receiving a raise back in March of last year. And then, you know, I had mentioned before about the police department, some of their overtime was hitting the regular salary line item instead, so I reclassified all that. And then the other note I had was on the, under streets, under the truck expense. And I did look into that, and it is all for the dump truck. So we'll need to look at doing a budget amendment on getting that money put in there. Because I don't think he was really planning to spend that much money on it. So,
Which line item is that?
and that is gonna be, 43,100, number 332. Which is gonna be on page 8.
Does anybody have anything else they want to discuss? On the financial report. All right, hearing none. Let's go ahead and call roll. Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Calvert,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Motion approves unanimously. All right, in old business, we're gonna, as we spoke in the, when we adopted the agenda, we're gonna move up the sewer plant change order. We did have an attachment, a couple of things that we sent an email earlier, and some of you didn't get a chance to read that, but I had Keisha copy the documents that was, that Logan supplied us with after our, we did have a phone conversation Tuesday with the mayor, myself, and Mr. Bradley, and we discussed the additional engineering breakdown, and I want have him come up here in just a second and explain some of those things if you guys have further questions. We do know that our timeline is starting to get in a place where we do need to move forward on this pretty quickly. We're in a position where we obviously have some light in the tunnel. We want to act on this and try to go forward with it. So I'll entertain a motion so we can begin a discussion of what.
Could be a motion on that ordinance, I suppose.
Yes.
A motion to pass ordinance.
032023-2, correct?
Yes,
I'll motion to approve ordinance 032023-2.
I'll second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Any other discussion before I have Logan come up? All right, Logan, when you want to come up and just kind of walk us through the conversation that we had and anything that was pertaining to the documents you sent, anything you want to add, okay?
Well, it's good to be with you guys as always. I'm sure a little bit and then take any questions that you guys have. I'm going to start with giving a little bit of background, and I mean brief, but I think stories are important. Been talking with a friend of mine often about the value and importance of story, and frankly, we were talking about the story of this plant, and it's important that you guys understand the story of it to understand where we're headed. I came today from Nashville. So I'm in big city Nashville right now, but I originally am from a small town in South Carolina. Not much unlike Westmoreland. And I moved here about a little over 2 years ago. But when I was in South Carolina, I was working on the design for this project. And the design originally started, we put together a report for you guys back in 2015. And we started to assess some of the options for what you guys could do to get additional sewer capacity that was the need at the time. And as we looked at that, we came with options and chose a design, discussed what scope you guys needed. I was doing other things with my life in 2015, but we then moved forward. That was a previous GMC team. And as that design came together and we came to submit it to the state so you guys could go to construction, the team that I was working with in South Carolina recognized some things about that design that were concerning. And this may begin to enlighten you about some of the timeline with which this has happened. You may have heard about delays with the wastewater plant, but maybe has not been explained much. So I want to just share a little more transparency. Frankly, didn't have this on the agenda for myself until this afternoon driving over, just thinking about y'all's project and thinking about our role with you guys and what is the best way for us to move forward. I feel like it's important for you guys to know the reasoning behind that delay. So what happened with the original design is we picked it up to submit to the state, my team in South Carolina, and we're very concerned with what the previous team that you guys were familiar with put together. And I'm not here to speak poorly about anyone that's worked for us or not. But at that point, we pulled the design out and decided to focus more on the design to, frankly, rework some things that would really cause issues if they had gone into construction. So those are some of the things that Mr. Brown and the mayor and I were talking about, and Mr. Bradley on the phone this week, is some of the frustrations with how long this project has taken. And some of those, frankly, I have not known how to respond to because I was not a part of the team that was here representing GMC at the time. But I think as I'm getting my bearings about how it's best to respond to that, I think the best way is for you guys to understand the full background. And that is, the background is that, frankly, this wastewater plant had to be designed twice because the original design was not satisfactory. So what I want to point out in that is the integrity of our team. It was not my decision about y'all's project at that moment. I may be running GMC's role for this project now, but at the moment it was not. But it was our leadership's decision that it was best for you guys and for frankly our reputation with you guys that we redesign to give you a quality project. I think there was some concern. The mayor asked a little bit about some of the costs of that. Maybe there was a thinking that we had billed you guys twice for design, and I was concerned with that because that really would be, that was a serious red flag for me. So I did some digging over the past week, looked into that, and can say with clarity at this point that there was no overbilling done with the design. In fact, we significantly lost money on the design portion of the project in order to give you guys a design that we felt like we could stand behind. And that's not entirely, I'm not saying we're perfectly in the right there because we delayed your project for a couple of years longer than it should have been. But what I want for you guys to hear tonight is that we care too much about our reputation across this state to do work on our wastewater than to send the design that was put together previously to the state and find that it was in really bad shape. And on a financial perspective, which will kind of lead into what we're talking about here, you guys don't need, I would love for you guys to have an engineer that made no mistakes. If you found one, I'd love to hire him. What you guys need, there is no perfect engineer. I'm taking some notes from the gentleman who was presenting previously and talking about being human and making mistakes. But you guys need an engineer that's committed and that you can trust. And part of that is you guys knowing that financially we will not take advantage of you, but that we will show you the cost for our team and let you know what is really going on. So what that leads to, I've sent some documents to Keisha, the mayor, and it sounds like you guys have gotten. I also have a summary that I think may be helpful just because there's a lot in what I sent that I will hand this to you. Please be gracious with this because I put this together about an hour ago before I left. So, I'm going to get that fast. So what we are talking about, what's on the agenda today, and that we're calling change order. There's nothing wrong with calling it the change order, but I want to make clear that this will be an engineering amendment, an amendment to the engineering contract. Change orders, oftentimes when we talk about them, are construction change orders, and there have been 2 so far, and this would be an amendment for engineering costs that are associated with those 2 change orders, 1 and 2. So what I've summarized in the first portion, and I'm happy if others of you want a copy of this, I'm happy to pass that out. Is there anybody that would like one? Yeah.
This is an extra too.
Yeah. And I put a note at the bottom that this is not, doesn't replace the contract, doesn't even, it's not intended to stand in for the contract. It is just a summary that I put together to help with clarity about the cost. So the first 2 columns you'll see there, under original schedule, construction for this project started in September 21 and was supposed to be a 13-month schedule. So it started at the beginning of September and was supposed to run through the end of September 2022. So you get an additional month there. It was a 13-month schedule. And the original construction admin, so this is the 2 services we were doing for you guys for the construction portion of this are construction administration and inspection. And I've given a little bit of a summary. I think it can be a little bit gray sometimes exactly what we are doing for you guys, what are the tasks that we're performing. So these are not exhaustive, but the summary that I put there for construction administration, basically you can think about those 2 as construction administration is my time and any of my team in the office. And then inspection is Mike's time. Aaron has worked with Mike a good bit. That's Mike's time in the field. In the office, what we are doing in construction administration is reviewing submittals and RFIs. Submittals are, I could talk any more about that if we have questions there, but monthly construction meetings, we're doing some month going over status of project, pay requests and SRF disbursement requests. Keisha's very familiar with. That's the biggest thing she and I talk about these days. And then general project coordination is the time we spend coordinating with the contractor to get them what they need to be able to And then inspection is making sure that the design is built the way that it was made to be built, that it was designed. If we didn't have eyes out there, you guys would not be protected. The contractor could build just about anything. So you have hired us to inspect and oversee the construction to make sure that it's done in a sound way. So first two columns are the original cost, the total for each of those, and then I've broken that down on a monthly basis for construction admin and inspection. So you can see the original. What we are talking about, this is really getting at the heart of the reason that I'm even standing up here right now, is this extended schedule. The reason for that is because of really two major things. So we've had a decision to change the design of the screen, and that's something that we talked through, Mr. Boris, prior to you being here, but that added 60 to 70 days of time to the project, and that was something we felt like at the time was necessary. So that was the first, and the second, which is a little more hard to swallow, is there's 138 days that have been delayed because of materials taking a long time to get to the site. And in this case, it is the computer that will run the plant and allow you guys to start it up, and that's the most critical portion.
And can I add that we discussed a little bit of that on Tuesday in our phone conversation. Did you get a chance to determine whether that was on site now, that component?
I believe it is, but frankly, I'm sorry to say I've not confirmed for sure, but we'll find out.
Okay.
And at one point, and this, I may have just not caught this, but did that electrical panel come in as well, the one that we were waiting on?
Yeah, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah,
The
that's
same
what I was asking about, yeah.
Yeah. I will find out from W&O, contractor, and I'll let you know. I'm sorry I don't have that.
So Logan, when we're talking about a timeline, because I know on this breakdown you mentioned the additional 7 months, we're talking about from October to the timeline that we think that you're going to be, the project's going to be completed, which is in when? In April?
May 1st is the final completion.
Okay.
Yeah, so the two, you'll see the original schedule started September 21 through September 2022. So the extended schedule, the 7 months you see under extended schedule is October 2022 to April 2023. So those 7 months, we are already 5 months into the extended schedule. So what we are hoping to approve, what we're asking to get approved for these additional engineering costs is engineering that we've actually already done. So it's been about 5 months since we billed you guys for any work that we've done. And hear me say that I'm so happy to do that until you guys are comfortable with the additional fees. But we are probably 50 to 75,000 overextended in the time that we have. So we paid our staff for the work they haven't gotten paid for. And I'm really happy with that. But that's some of the urgency of going ahead and getting this approved. So I want to jump straight to some of the concern around these additional costs has been, so you take the same project, the same scope, and you extend it over a longer period of time, and you're telling me that this is going to cost us more from an engineering standpoint. And the answer, unfortunately, is yes. Because the time that we spend, like any of our time in a job, is paid time. And the portion of materials that has not been able to be delivered is really due to the pandemic. A lot of the material shortages have caused, particularly electrical materials, it's been really hard to get materials. So in all the contracts for these type of projects, there's a clause that says, these are outside of anyone's control, and the contractor is, I believe, is due to be given additional time if these things are extended. So what I have done and the way that I'm handling the extended schedule, and if you've got a pen, I just can maybe help you make a mark on this. If you will strike through the monthly cost on the construction administration, the 11,578. That's the original. So every month, that's what we were getting paid for the original schedule. I've reduced that from that 11,000. You can strike that to the 6,857. It's only such an odd number because the total is 48,000 over 7 months. It's just what it comes out to be. But what we are providing to you guys, so there's no way around, if the schedule extends, then you've got to have us on site to be able to do inspection and then offices to be able to do construction administration. There's no way around that. But we don't have to get paid the full 11,000 because we are not doing a full list of services. So if you struck through the 11,000, you can also strike through submittal and RFI review in that summary, in the description. Everything else except for submittal and RFI review, in the extended schedule, we will still do every one of those services. So we will still spend the majority of the time that we've been spending every month, we will still spend on this project. So that's the reason for that nearly 7,000 a month for construction. I've reduced that from the 11 to 6, which is about cutting it in half. For inspection, it's nearly the same. We're not really able to, they're not exactly the same because I think there's some hourly rates that are different there. But inspection is billed on an hourly basis, and our inspector can't cut that time because he's got to be on site full time. So the time the contractor's there, he's got to be.
I know you're about to elaborate on that. So we talked about that on the phone about how
Maybe the same cost.
how important it was for the inspector to be on site,
Yep.
and in order for the project to go through completion, I believe even it was regulated. I mean, they have to actually, by law or by some sort of jurisdiction, they have to be correct. Is that right?
Yeah, the funding source, so you guys are funding this through the state revolving loan fund. And they require that you have full-time inspection. So what is being done on any construction that's being done is being watched by our VMC representative. And if he is gone for even a day, the contractor can go lay a pipe, and I'm sure you've dug up pipes that you might wonder if there's inspectors on site. They could put it in the ground, cover it up, and then say at the end, at the ribbon cutting, hey, this project is great, and then when you, a year down the road, start to see issues, then that's when you start seeing problems. So that is why every project like this has an inspector, because it doesn't matter how good our design is, if it's not done per the design, and we are not there to make sure that's done, it really could have some issues. Is that how? Now, I think that there is potential, I've shared with those who were on this call before us, who were talking about this earlier this week, that the inspection time, something that I'm doing no more than you guys want to pay these additional costs, do I want to be charging them to you. We've got other projects that we can spend time on. I do business development for our team, and so I'm developing business. We want to continue to work for you guys and continue to work for others, but my way of developing business is not by extending schedules. I would much prefer for us to wrap up this project and go work with somebody else on something else or work for you guys on something. But something that I'm hoping, able to do in this case is, Mike is our inspector. While he is on site, there are some hours of the day that he could be doing something else, and things not be getting covered up. So if he needs to be there in that moment to make sure that work is being done the way it's supposed to, then he will be there. But if he usually would know in like an afternoon, he might say, I don't have to be standing there watching them do this work. And in those moments, I've got some other projects that I've begun to feed to him that he could work on while he's on site, and not actually have to charge those hours to you guys. Any questions at this point?
Yeah, I was gonna, just to kind of summarize what you said, and not to keep, talking it over and over again. I think we all understand what we're asking of us is that the additional engineering costs, the total amount of this change order consists of $149,700. And that's a breakdown of the design costs from the screen redesign that we had spoke about earlier, I guess back in, when was that?
October of 2021?
It may have been that long ago, but
That might have been a matter of.
but that was the direction that we wanted to go, is what I'm getting at. And then the construction administration cost, that breaks down from 7 months from back in October till April, the estimated completion date. And then the inspection cost is $93,000. Again, for the 7 months from back in October to estimated completion date. So, is there, and this was also incorporating change order 1 and change order 2, kind of when it came to making sure that we also, well, I guess the main thing was the electrical material delay. Because of that delay is what one of the reasons was the purpose of this additional cost in inspection and construction. So, yeah.
Change orders 1 and 2 were purely construction related. And then this amendment would be any engineer that was associated with those 2 change orders.
Gotcha.
And when you say that about the 8,700, so if you total up the 40,000 and the 93,000, you'll get something less than 149,700. I think you get 141. So the only thing that's not included in those, you can just write under the 93,000. You could add plus. You could write down plus 8,700, and that's the additional for the engineering for the screen redesign. That's in the breakdown, but it's not in the summary, just because it's a little more straightforward. I don't want to cut off any questions that you guys have, so please just interrupt me, but,
I will say I do appreciate this. This does, for me at least, I wasn't here on the front, as far on the front end as some others, but this helps me understand, like you said, some of the history of where we were versus where we are now. Because this is good, but this helps me understand that better, if that makes any sense.
well, you should know that it's not exciting to me to talk about things we've not done right or not done well. But I think I'm learning that what you guys need is exactly what I said earlier. I am learning that you guys don't need a perfect engineer. You need somebody that's trustworthy and committed to you guys to let you see all this transparently. I want to just make sure that, to set expectations, we are doing everything in our power to be able to guide the projects and help to move things forward. But there are certain things that are out of our control, such that I can't promise you that this plant's going to be built on May 1st. Because in the same way that I couldn't have promised that, or if I had promised that it would be done in September 2022, and then electrical materials that are being shipped from somewhere outside of Tennessee, we don't have control of those things. So we're on the team together, and we are working to be able to help you guys, the contractor as well. So the city, GMC, and W&O are working to get it done as quickly as possible. And that's what we'll do. I can't promise no more delays, but I can promise we'll work to avoid them.
Yeah, and I'll just add to what Councilman Calvert just mentioned. Thank you for breaking this down. There's a lot of confusion sometimes, especially when we have the contract, and we've been in this project for how many years now? Is it?
You said started back, the design phase started back in what, 2015?
Yeah. So we have anticipated this project, right, for so long, and here we are within just a matter of months at the completion of it, which is good news. And you mentioned this earlier, and you mentioned it also in your letter that you sent out to me, and that these amendments are not abnormal. Any large project like this, we're talking obviously over $7 million, there is going to be delays. And with the issues that's happened in 2020 with the pandemic, those delays were amplified, and there's not a lot people can do about it. And we do know that engineers and inspectors, everybody else at a firm who's running a large project like this still has to get paid in order, until the project's completed. None of us, I think, are a fan of continually adding more additional money to the project to see it completed, to see it follow through. But this, I think we can finally say that we are able to see that light in the tunnel, because I do know we're close. So I appreciate you breaking this down for us and giving us that, what we do hope is the final understanding of where we're going, and so we don't have many more steps, and we can understand it fully. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Can I ask a question real quick? So on this breakdown that you sent us, it's the GMC change order log. You get the original cost, $6.487 million.
Yeah.
And then you've got the current cost listed at 6.520 and some change. Is that accurate?
Construction, that's construction changes, yeah.
Okay, so the additional cost over and above that 6.487, what is, do you know in total as to what that addition is? Is it just that 149, 700?
So the 6.4, where do you say beyond that? The 6.4 was the original bid for the contractor. So
Right.
That's your original construction cost. So you have to think about them, that they are separate buckets, the construction cost and the engineering. So
Right.
construction started at 6.4, and we added, we changed the screen that added some cost.
Right.
There are a number of other things on that log. So the change order 1 and 2 increased it to, what would you say, 6.5?
6.52 and some change.
Yeah. So that's now the current construction cost. So if we were able to avoid any other changes, it would be that. The closer you get to the end of the project, the less likely there will be changes. But
So
the engineering
basically,
cost,
I don't mean to cut you off, but, so just to help me understand, the current cost without your engineering fees, additional engineering fees, is that 6.52?
that's right.
So then we add the 149,000 to that,
Yep.
and that's where we sit.
Yep.
So in the grand scheme of things, less than what, 3% increase over the cost of the project? So much easier to swallow, seeing it that way, than hearing a massive number of,
Yeah, these are numbers, frankly, if I wasn't doing the job that I'm doing, I wouldn't be used to dealing with these level of money. Yeah, these are just, so, yeah, I mean, these are important decisions.
Right.
Yeah, so construction went from 6.4 to 6.5. Engineering has gone from the total of 150 and the 190, plus the 149, 700, and now it gets you to your total engineering.
So the 149, 150, and 190.
That's right.
Okay.
Those are your originals, and
So roughly an extra $500,000. It's closer to 7. More like 13%.
yeah, I could look at what that would be, just be something, but the original, the only additional is the 149 and 700, and the other whatever those would be. But, yeah, that's a helpful way to put it in perspective, because by percentage of the total project, we're talking about smaller percentages.
Any more questions for Lonnie?
I don't know.
I want to just make clear from moving forward from here, what we submitted is the breakdown of what the fees would be. Mr. Brown, I can talk to you about this if this is helpful. I will follow up, once this is approved, I'll follow up with a formal amendment, contract amendment, to share with you, and we can make sure that that's approved. Is that an okay way to go about that? Once the breakdown itself is approved, and we can get the contract, formal contract amended. There will be a document that says, actually, the actual language of the numbers and we'll put it in the contract form. Is that reasonable?
That's a good number.
Works for me.
What I want to make sure of is, it will not take another approval of a contract, as long as the numbers that have been approved in this meeting. Is that true? Or would it take another approval of the formal contract amendment? Am I making any sense?
Not sure, Mr. Bradley, you follow this?
Well, we can amend this to say, and the mayor is authorized to sign the contract accordingly, the contract amendment accordingly.
That's
all you have to do.
Yeah, that's all I would take. That just keeps the legal, like, you have a breakdown that's already complicated enough, if it's not a legal contract holder. So whatever we need to do to get you guys approved for that.
All right. Thank you, Logan, for being here. I appreciate the time.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure that I'm very available to you guys and to anybody else that's doing these meetings. I've got calls with me, have my cell number on it. I'm happy to take questions, anything about the project. I'm sure that these guys can answer your questions, but I'm also happy Aaron and I talk probably more than he has time to talk about. But yeah, just to make sure I'm available.
Thank you, Logan.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Is it appropriate for me to amend my motion? So I'd like to amend my motion to obviously approve the ordinance, but also to give the mayor the ability to sign any legal contracts associated with making sure.
Motion, Councilman Calvert, a second by Councilman Jones, to approve ordinance 032023-2, in addition to giving the mayor the ability to agree and sign the contract that would come with this sewer plant change order in the ordinance. Does that sound right?
Yes.
All right. Ms. Kelly, let's call roll.
This is for
That's true, this is for the amendment, excuse me.
Brown,
Yes.
Calvert,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Sorry. Borders.
Yes.
It's hard to keep up with this 4 of us up here. Okay. And that was for the amendment. Now, do we need to go back and vote on the original ordinance?
Yeah, and you also need to fill in that blank, section 1 and section 2. I need to,
Okay.
wasn't sure exactly what amount you were going to be approving, but apparently you're going to be approving that 149,700.
Okay.
So just write that in the both paragraphs.
All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor, may I ask, I don't see the ordinance, I think it's something that's just been presented to you guys. Where is the additional funding coming from? Is it coming from the state revolving loan? This 149.7?
Correct, it's coming from the second,
Original loan?
the second one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, there's an additional that has a contingency of,
okay. I just hadn't seen that documentation.
yeah.
Great.
I'm sorry.
Keisha and Keisha, I'll follow with you about how to move stuff in contingency. But yeah, it's great.
All right. We already have an original motion and second on the ordinance to pass 032023-2. Kelly, please call the roll for this.
Calvert,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Borders,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes. All right, motion passes unanimously. All right, moving along on the original first item on old business was ordinance 023-1 to terminate 912 park lease. This is a second reading. Everybody had a chance to look at that resolution. Oh, excuse me, it's an ordinance for this one. Where go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance 022023-1 to terminate the lease at 912 Park Street.
And I will second. Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Jones and a second by Councilman Calvert.
I do have a question.
All right, we're open for discussion. Go ahead.
So here in the ordinance, under the whereas, it has that you're going to add a paragraph to it.
Yeah, not really. I'm gonna make that, I'm gonna tell you my suggested amendment.
Okay.
You ready for that now? That'd be a good idea.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
That whole paragraph needs to be stricken, the one's got the black and out. Just delete the sixth paragraph of the whereas is not part of the ordinance anyway. And at the end of the ordinance where it says for December of 2022 and January 2023, rent received, add comma, which reimbursement amount is hereby appropriated. Which reimbursement amount is hereby appropriated. Just want to make sure that we're appropriating that money with this ordinance to pay back to Mr. Coons. So someone could make that as a motion.
Yeah, I would like to motion to amend ordinance 022023-2 with the recommended addition from our counsel, the attorney.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to amend or to add an addition statement that would put us in not being withheld financial release or holding or reimbursement from Mr. Coons in the future. And so, any other discussion? This is again our second reading of this ordinance to terminate the lease on 912 Park Street. So, anybody have anything else? All right, Kelly, let's call the roll.
It's on the amendment.
This is on, yes,
It's
thank you.
amendment.
This is on the amendment for the ordinance.
Jones,
Yes.
Borders,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Calvert.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries unanimously. Now, the original motion for ordinance 022023 is still on the table. Ms. Kelly, let's call the roll for that.
Borders,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Calvert,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries unanimously as well. All right, moving along, and the last agenda item on old business was the ordinance 012023-1 for the 2022-23 budget amendment for part-time employee. believe that was for the, make sure I got the right one. Huh?
The police department.
Yes. Anybody have a chance to, we had some discussion on this in the work study, and so I think we saw the need to make this happen. Anybody have any? I guess I'll get a motion on the table first.
I will motion to approve ordinance 012023-1.
Second.
Okay, a motion from Councilman Calvert and a second by Councilman Borders to approve that ordinance. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Ms. Kelly, call the roll.
Brown,
Yes.
Calvert,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Borders.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Into our new business. Mr. Jeff Carter is here. We're going to open up with him on the Freedom Fest. He has asked to come up and speak to that. Before we do, I will entertain a motion to get this discussion started. That's okay.
Make a motion to approve
Talk about
Freedom Fest discussion.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Mr. Carter, if you would, go ahead and tell us what things you need from us.
All right. Well, first, I always like to say, thanks for the partnership that we have with our city council, and we definitely appreciate all that you guys do for us. And Freedom Fest this year, we'll be working with the pyro people. The good news is the pricing we got from last year is the exact same. So basically the same show, we're going to do this year, exact same pricing. So I think the contribution that Westmoreland Council always gives us is something we depend on for that. So I think that's usually, is it 5,000? The other thing too that I want to talk about is Freedom Fest. If you look at the first page there, that's the existing as it looks today, or as we've done in the past. So you see the big area where we do the concert. You've got the cakewalk. You've got different things in the area. We're willing to expand it. The vendors we have vendors that span the whole area over there, and we think that in conjunction with working with Grandpa's Music, that we can actually extend it to this section up here this year. So put in those two or three food trucks up here, have a small gathering up here, assuming it's okay with the veterans, in the,
Veterans Memorial Park.
do it over there. And Grandpa's Music will be the one managing that. And I've been working with them, and I need to get their final approval from that. But the idea is to further expand this and, make more money for the town. And get a larger population in here, because, this is really a big function every year. I mean, I think we estimate between 2,500 to 3,000 people show up to the festivities, especially a big boom boom at the end of the night. So we're trying to extend that. We are also working with the property owner, because the property has changed hands that we do that normally with. So we're working with them. The good news, the fireworks people, they actually extend all their insurance into that process. So in the event there's a problem with the property that the fireworks go off with, they take care of that. So I will also have to make sure Mark signs off on the fireworks plan. So that's basically it. Like I said, we want to extend it this year and make it a little bit bigger.
So in doing that, are you going to close down any streets?
Yeah, we need to make our streets, we basically shut down downtown if possible. I know there's got to be a couple of ingress and egress points for the police and possibly even the ambulance, but we've seen so many times around the main area over here where that causes problems. I always go back to the way that it dove down to the ditch. I mean, that's so terrible for her. So, yeah, we definitely need to be sure we can close them down, because what happens typically is we get the approval to close them down, but somewhere on the way, it never quite gets to everybody. We have to actually convince people that's what's happening. So we got to work a little closer with our police department on that. So
Will you bring a list of streets that you'd like to, or
Yeah.
sections of streets before us that you'd like to
Sure.
have closed? And, I mean, 'cause I agree with you, I think especially over here, I mean, right, especially around the stage, behind the stage, I mean, obviously you need to have, allow the ambulance access to
Right.
get out. But around the park in general, I mean, all it would take is some freak accident, it could be a huge catastrophe.
Oh, yeah.
And then especially here, Austin P, if people are gonna be going back and forth between two different music venues, going to the businesses downtown here.
At least between those
I
two
think-
intersections right here, that
Yeah.
one strip of road right there, I feel like.
Yeah.
If we could-
Yeah.
If we could simply just block those two intersections and allow traffic to go laterally and then connect somewhere else.
Well, the good news is the way Westmoreland is set up, I mean, we can
It's not
literally
one
shut
big
down
oval.
this section up here and
Yeah.
just bypass it with detour signs,
Yeah.
so.
I will say, maybe not necessarily a part of this discussion, but I feel like things like this, it would benefit us greatly if we had some approval process for the, I'm not saying that we don't have one, but one that could come and benefited us more so, where that the department heads signed off on it, maybe literally on a sheet of paper, so that whenever the approval came to us, we can see that the chief looked at it, that the fire chief looked at it, and that there
I
isn't
agree.
a question that has somebody looked at it,
Right. And
especially.
it just ensures that all the communication's been had in order to put the prior planning in place.
Okay, and we do that, just for everyone's knowledge, we actually do that with the fire department. They actually
Yeah.
have to sign off on it because of the fire, so.
So, and I'll add, Mr. Carter, he recently took over as president of the Chamber of Commerce. And so, thank you for taking on that leadership role.
Thank you.
But if you would, if you'll get with the chief and determine what streets actually need to be blocked off, if we're going to allow the event to occur in not only this park, but also Veterans Park, is essentially what you're asking tonight. But we can also vote on, what I'm hearing you guys, your concerns, is that we can also vote on that, because we've got a little time.
Sure.
I mean, we're in March, so we're good on time. And we can vote on those actual streets so that everybody's, covered and the public knows well ahead of time. So if you'll get with him, in the meantime, for this initial response, I think what you're asking us is that we just allow the event to occur into the Veterans Memorial Park. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, so for this purpose, for tonight's, if we want to vote on this, we can vote only on allowing the Chamber of Commerce to utilize that for Freedom Fest. Is that suitable for everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have a date on that?
June 24th. Just kind of give you a preview of things to come. They're probably going to have the same request for the Halloween festivities. If you guys were up here last year,
Okay.
that was a gigantic line that went through town. And I heard so many people, and there's not really much you can do, but there's so many people complaining about the length of the line. Not really much we can do about that, right? Because you gotta wait in line to your turn. But if we can actually make it so that we extend that and extend the trunks too, I'm sure a lot of other people actually will contribute to those trunks, and then extend that. I think it would actually, to me, it's a preview of what we can make this a bigger event in several cases.
Absolutely.
So, and of course, it is the Ides of March. So, all plans come for your breakfast, so. But of course, like I said, we also would depend upon your contribution to our festivities. So, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Any other questions from Mr. Carter? All right. Thank you, Mr. Carter. So we're voting to, again, to include in the Freedom Fest the usage of the Veterans Park, in addition to what has already been allowed. And if you want to make an amendment on that original, since we didn't have quite clarity as to what we were, because we had an idea, but we didn't have have quite clarity on what we were gonna be voting for in this
Just
particular.
just a
So
simple
actually
group.
necessary, I would think, until you get that
So we
list
get a
of
list of
streets.
streets.
Okay.
So we really don't even need to vote. We
Okay,
just
so
vote.
do we
Just
want
discuss it
to
tonight.
remove your,
No action.
remove it, no action needed?
Right.
Okay, very well. All right, then we're moving along, we're gonna go into, next order of new business is resolution.
Sorry, real quick.
Yep.
We do have a time limit on the amount of time to pay our folks with the deposit. So we cover that, so I just want to make sure I put that in there too.
Okay. Thank you. All right, next order of business is resolution R032023-1, raises for training certifications. We talked about this at the work study. We had mentioned that we would authorize the department heads to provide raises for employee training certifications for advancement opportunities, and that and after approval from the mayor, that those pay increases to employees based on the successful training certifications would go in place. So
I make a motion to approve resolution R032023-1.
Second.
a motion by Councilman Jones and a second by Councilman Borders. Any discussion?
My only reservation with that is that there be a cap as to how many certifications that employee's getting within a certain amount of time. Because obviously, I mean, you don't want to just be blowing your budget on giving people raises for unnecessary certifications if they don't need them.
And I can imagine there's, and I may be wrong, Aaron, you might be able to correct me, is there just a number, crazy number of certifications that someone in your department could get, or we're only talking about?
Isn't that what we discussed?
Yeah, I think we
We
may-
made one meeting about limiting, I think the department heads would limit.
Limit no more than like 2 in a fiscal
Yeah,
year
I
or
think that's
something of
what
that
we're
nature.
talking about.
Yeah.
Aaron, is that something you want to elaborate on?
About 2 in a physical year would probably be a pretty good number, because the way our certifications run, they test twice a year, so if you got your distribution in the spring, and then you could get your collections in the fall, so, I mean, you really couldn't, you can't take both tests at one time. You have to break them up in order to be able to take them, so, I mean, you could possibly get your CDLs and get your cross connections, and then also get one of the other ones in the same physical year. Would be about the only way my department could do it. The CDL is about a 4-week class, and then you have your CDLs at the end of that class, and then cross connection is a week class, and you get your certification for that as well at the end of that week. So, I mean, that would be possible, but I don't see that happening a lot. I mean, I very rarely have enough people to even go get one a year if they do that, so.
I would like to add that the only other thing that I can think of that would be unique is our codes inspector. He's certified to inspect residential, but there's also, there's commercial, electrical, plumbing, mechanical. Now,
That's kind of where, more so where I was going with that is,
I think that's what we had discussed. That would be at the discretion of the department head of allowing him to be able to go and do that. He wouldn't be able to just go and do all of them at one time, or 1 year. They would have to get approval from him. Hey, can I go get this done to keep that from
yeah,
happening?
I feel like the concern can probably be addressed by the resolution saying somehow, at some point, at the discretion of the department head, has to approve the them going out to get the certification in the first place, as opposed to them seeking it out and then us having to. Right.
Well, and the resolution does state after approval from the mayor, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's yours.
You're good. So I think that's covered, it's just not so many words. And and I can't speak to fire, but that's the one position that I know of, that there are several outside of what he was talking about.
If it becomes a problem too, you can always repeal the resolution.
That's true.
If too many people, you think too many people get raises, so you control that anyway.
I mean, there's also only so much in the training budget
Yeah,
for
that's
here as well, so.
Any other discussion? Ms. Kelly, let's call the roll.
Calvert,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Borders,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes. All right. Motion passes unanimously. Next order on new business is the garbage truck repair. Aaron went into a lot of detail on the work study, talking about that. Aaron, you have anything else you want to add?
No, I sent that to everybody, and I still think that we need to do the 7,000 just in case they find something else in there, maybe give them a little bit of a cushion.
Is it because the original, the estimated cost is $5,863.75, right? Okay. How long did they say, I'm sorry, why don't we get a motion on the table first?
Make a motion to approve the garbage truck repair.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. My question was gonna be, what was the timeline for repairs?
To get it back.
Correct.
I'm not sure. I talked to them earlier this week, and they said as soon as we give her the approval, she said she'll get it pulled back in the shop and get them started on it. So I'm hoping, as long as everything goes smoothly, I'm hoping within a week to be able to have it back.
So again, this is for sanitation, for the truck repairs for $7,000. In case there's any overage on that repair quote. I think we all agreed last time, we definitely don't want to hold back the truck repair for that. And then, so for this, we're voting to simply move forward with the truck repair. Ms. Kelly, any other discussion? Ms. Kelly, call the roll.
Jones,
Yes.
Borders,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Calvert.
Yes.
And the next order of item goes exactly with that. It follows it up to have the budget amendment for the garbage truck repair for ordinance 032023. Entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 032023-1, the $7,000 for the garbage truck repair.
Second.
Okay, have a motion by Councilman Jones, a second by Councilman Calvert. Have any other discussion on this item?
For Keisha, so since we're waiting on the appropriation, or maybe for him, are we waiting for this to pass both readings, or is this something that they can do? I mean, I'm assuming that we can't pay for it until obviously we appropriated it. But as far as time-wise, are we not going to be able to get them to go ahead until we
Pass the second.
pass the second reading?
I mean, I think it'll be fine, like usually if he gets it started tomorrow, if it takes a week and they invoice us, we usually have 30 days to pay, so.
So we'll have a second reading by then.
We'll have our second reading, yeah.
And you could do the second reading at the April study session too, if you call it
Special call.
special meeting, if you're gonna be here anyway.
Yeah.
That'd knock out the second reading and speed it up a couple of weeks.
That's good, I think that.
Okay. All right, someone remind me to make sure we did that. All right, any other discussion? Okay. Ms. Kelly, call the roll.
Borders,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Calvert,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
All right, motion passes unanimously. The last agenda item on new business is Resolution R032023-2, the Property Conservation Grant. I believe Keisha has been working on this grant for a little while and has some more information. Entertain a motion before we talk.
Motion to approve resolution R032023-2.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Ms. Keisha, do you want to speak to that?
Okay, yeah, we've already received this grant, we haven't received the reimbursement yet. This is just formality that has to be done to get that reimbursement back, and so I was preparing to send everything in to get that reimbursement back. I realized we never passed this back in October, November, so. Trying to tie the loose ends.
Was it remind me again, was the grant a matching one?
It was, so we can get up to 2,500 back for property conservation items. We got some backup storage devices for the police department and for city hall. And we got a security camera for the fire department. So we'll get half of those expenses back.
Some more security cameras at parks now.
Yes.
All right. Any other comments, discussion? All right. Ms. Kelly, call the roll.
Brown,
Yes.
Calvert,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Borders.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. And that concludes all of our agenda items. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to
adjourn.
adjourn.
Second.
So moved. Just wanted to do that.